In the end, over 70,000 Allied sailors and 30,000 German submariners lost their lives. The battle was long, brutal, and quiet, but it was essential to winning the war. Operation Barbarossa. Germany invades the Soviet Union. In the early hours of June 22, 1941, over 3 million German soldiers surged across the border into the Soviet Union. This was Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in human history. It marked a turning point in World War II and shattered the fragile non-aggression pact between Hitler and Stalin. The German war machine, fresh off a string of victories in Western Europe, stormed across the vast Soviet frontier, catching the Red Army off guard. The Luftwaffe bombed Soviet airfields before planes could even take off. In the opening weeks, entire Soviet divisions were encircled and destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of Soviet soldiers were captured. Civilians fled in terror. Towns were leveled. It was chaos. German troops lacked proper winter clothing. Engines froze. Weapons jammed. And the Soviets, now reinforced and regrouped, launched a fierce counteroffensive. Operation Barbarossa, once envisioned as a swift and decisive campaign, had become a war of attrition. Hitler had underestimated the Soviet Union's resilience and overextended his own army. By the end of 1941, the Germans were halted outside Moscow, having failed to deliver the knockout blow they had promised. The Eastern Front was now a frozen, bloody stalemate, and for the first time, the tide of the war began to turn against Nazi Germany. Part 4. Global Conflict. Pearl Harbor and the U.S. enters the war. On the morning of December 7, 1941, a quiet Sunday in Hawaii was shattered by the roar of aircraft engines. At 7:48 a.m. local time, hundreds of Japanese warplanes descended on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. Without warning, bombs and torpedoes tore through battleships, destroyers, and airfields. In just under 2 hours, more than 2,400 Americans were dead. Nearly 1,200 were wounded, and a significant portion of the Pacific Fleet lay in ruins. The next day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt addressed a stunned nation. His voice was somber, deliberate. He described December 7th as a date which will live in infamy. Before a joint session of Congress, he called for a declaration of war against the Empire of Japan. Factories across the country roared to life. Young men enlisted in droves. The American people, once hesitant to join the war, were now galvanized. Pearl Harbor had changed everything.